Bam, we're live.
Yeah.
Good morning, guys. And it begins the stretch to Wadapalooza. Audrey, the Shiz, Kev, Jessica, Kyle, Vindicate. Hey, you guys probably saw last night, Monday Night Football. Guy falls down on the field. Twitter lights up. Instagram lights up. Everyone's showing the videos. Here it is right here. The guy's name, I think, is Damar Hamlin. And it's I think it's is it the Bengal player? No, Buffalo Bills player. It's one of the guys in the white outfit.
White jersey. The guy on this guy right here.
Yeah. And he stands up, sorry for the stutter. And then he goes straight to his back. Here's the thing. A lot of people are referring to this as that there was a collision on his chest and the timing was perfect, and it was something that you know that's pretty common, where you hit the rib cage, it impacts the heart right at the right minute, and it stops the heart. There's a name for it. Do you know the name for it, Caleb? I think you're the one maybe who shared it with me.
Comotio Cordis.
Comotio Cordis.
Comotio Cordis.
Comotio Cordis. The problem is this. Just for an example, we've never seen anyone go down at the CrossFit Games from clotting. And, this year we have 2. And then we've never seen this in the NFL. And when I say never, I'm just saying what the commentators were saying last night. They 2 guys kept saying we've never seen this. And one guy's like, well, we saw it, but it was a long time ago. And when you're not transparent about what we've gone through in the past 2 years, it's totally our call at that point to start, saying whatever we want. So for the people who are freaking out and name calling those of us who suspect that this may have been injection related, like, hey man, they put us in this spot by lying to us so often that it's our go-to. The NFL guys. Hey Brian, good morning.
Good morning.
The commentators were tripping when they would go to the desk. The people were tripping. Olivia, good morning.
Morning.
What time is it there?
9.
Oh, is that early for you?
Yeah. Right
Oh.
now, during winter break, that's early.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are you in your senior year?
No, I'm still I'm just a junior.
Oh my goodness.
Can they get you on an accelerated track or something? Maybe you finish the semester early next year.
I wish.
I know that some of the other athletes have sometimes been able to manage that, but it's usually just you guys are always obviously very hardworking. So when you want to set your mind on something, it can often be achieved.
Yeah, I only have I think 2.5 or 3 credits left. So at least maybe might try and convince them to have me do half days or something next year.
So
But
you would do that if you could, if there was some way you could get out early, you would do that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow. Would any part of you miss high school?
I mean, I would still be going for half a day, and so I'd still be kind of having the experience, but no, not really.
You get to see. Do you have a lot of friends at school?
Yeah.
Is that the primary reason you like to go?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, me too. I went just for the friends. I loved going there to see my friends. That shit was cool. So you're not only are you just a junior, but you're not even done with your junior year. You're barely halfway through.
Yeah, we're about to start second semester, so halfway through.
Oh man. And then what time do you when school's in session, what time do you get up?
6, 5:45.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And that starts tomorrow?
Thursday.
Oh my goodness. They should have just rolled it over to Monday.
I know. I don't know why. We just have 2 days this week, I guess.
The school schedules are extremely variable. right now. Like there's a lot of college freshmen and sophomores that have trained at our gym through the later part of their high school careers, but they're always coming back at random times. Some of them will stay for a week. Some of them are here for like 5 weeks. They got like a whole month plus off of college. I never know what's going on.
Oh yeah, college, like both my sisters, like they have like over a month off. I'm like, that's crazy.
How old are your sisters?
One of them is 20 and one of them is 23.
The 20-year-old, I have to believe, was a big inspiration for you in pursuing CrossFit.
Yeah, Ellie. She did CrossFit, but now she just does it for fun in college.
Good, me too. I don't do it in college. I do it in my garage for fun. You made your Rogue debut.
Yep.
Yeah, that is truly remarkable. How did you? Can you tell me about the discussion you had with yourself, with your counsel? How did you decide to do this?
Well, I just wanted some, like, I knew that my goal going into this year was to make it in the elite division, so I wanted to get some experience so that the first time I like did a competition, I wasn't just like shocked. And so we didn't know if Rogue would be able to happen, but whenever they did the qualifier, I was like, well, might as well do it. And so then we did that, and then I'm also doing Wadapalooza coming up in the elite division, so I'll have a pretty good like idea of like what it's like to be elite, so that I'm not like shocked going into semis.
So, and when you say the elite division, you mean at the CrossFit Games?
Yes.
But really, it's the semifinals. Like that will be either way. If in order to get to the CrossFit Games, you have to go through the semifinals.
And those events are big events, basically, is what you guys are telling me. You're telling me that, like, hey, the semifinals is like showing up to Rogue, or is like showing up to Wadapalooza in terms of the number of events, the crowd, the pressure, the athletes who will be at your right and left, those types of things.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, those are very similar. The kind of the weird thing is, in one case, it feels like it's the most that's on the line at the semifinals, because that's if you don't perform there, you don't get to the games. But on the other side, and I don't know that this is something that weighs too heavily on Olivia right now, but in the off season, there's a little bit more at stake financially than at the semifinals. So the pressure can be felt differently.
Do you have financial pressure, Olivia?
No.
Yeah, Dad, I need money. How was Rogue in terms of these? I'm going to call them unknown elements that maybe that were different from. I mean, it's not like you didn't compete at the highest level. You competed at the highest level where you were capable to compete, and that's the teen division at the games, and you did really well. What about and by well I mean win? Any surprises at Rogue? Were there any like starstruck? Crowd was too big, too many fans, not being able to overcome poor performances. Were there any shocks in any of those places where you're like, oh, that was a bigger hurdle than I thought?
I thought maybe the biggest hurdle was just like the starstruck, like just the fact that I was competing with like people that I've always looked up to. It was kind of hard for me to like get over that at first and like actually like want to beat them. So that might have been the biggest hurdle. Which is why I'm glad that I did Rogue and like am doing Wadapalooza so that I can like get over that, so that it's not like that at semis.
Yeah. Anyone in particular that you're like, wow, you are real. You're not just like someone on social media.
I mean, all of them, but just like I think like a couple events I was lined up next to Annie, and I feel like that was like really real. I was like, okay, this is like my like childhood idol. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think Annie, she is probably the one that I would have guessed that you would have said. I mean, she's so iconic, and she's just physically also, her presence is very radiant. She's great presence on and off the field, and for pretty much, I mean, I don't think it's just women. I think a lot of people coming up in CrossFit, 10, 12 years ago, all the way through now, have continued to be impressed and inspired by her.
Yeah.
Olivia, when you're out there, I heard stories repeatedly from, I think it was Alex Gazan, and maybe it was, I can't remember who the other person was. It was another young athlete, and they were saying how nice some of the older athletes were to them. Like, I heard a lot of compliments regarding Danny Spiegel about her putting their arm around them, her talking to them, her making them feel comfortable. Did you get that from any of the ladies out there?
Oh, definitely. I think like just starting from the very first like check-in day when we had like a meeting and there was like no coaches, I was just like kind of like lost. I didn't know what to do. But yeah, Danny and Ariel Lowen and like most of them were all very nice. So that was nice having them like comforting me when they could tell I was like nervous and shy. But yeah.
Well, and you were kind of thrown into the deep end too. I mean, I was there in Rogue in the stands, and I remember for a majority of the events, it was not very difficult to find Jacob. You know, he was standing up with a very jersey on, supporting you. But event one, you didn't get to have your coach either.
Yeah, he was there most. I could see him or hear him most of the time. He has a distinct like sound I could hear. But yeah, the first event, I was just like, right when they announced that, we were all like laughing. Like, of course, the first event, like I'm a 16-year-old girl and just like going on a bus, don't know where I'm going with no coaches. I was like trying not to freak out and just laugh about it. But yeah, I mean, glad I had that experience at Rogue and not like at the games or somewhere where it like actually matters. But that was crazy.
Was there any discussion about, okay, well, we have to make an exception here, and like Olivia's dad or mom has to go on the bus?
No, they didn't ever say that, but I think my mom had to like sign a permission slip for me to go.
Did they have an official permission slip?
Yeah, it was like a waiver like online, but
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that's probably common, is you have to sign some kind of waiver to compete in if you're under 18. And, you know, Emma Lawson was in a similar situation. Did you bond with her over that at all?
we kind of like laughed about it a little bit, but we weren't on the same bus, so we didn't really like talk about it that much.
What was that bus ride like? I mean, bus ride like for you? Were you nervous? Were you just hanging out with the other girls or guys, or were you just pretty much focused on what you were about to do?
I mean, I was nervous. Most people on my bus, like the way there, were not talking at all. So I was kind of just like quiet with headphones in, and then the way back, they were a little more talkative, and like I would kind of like talk sometimes. But yeah, I was just nervous, and I think we like all knew what we were about to do, like some sort of like running thing. So I was just kind of like mentally preparing myself for that and just get it over with and
Were you
get to
thinking to
some
myself,
CrossFit.
maybe there'll be a heavy barbell out there for me?
Yeah, maybe in the middle of this run.
Did they go away at 3, 2, 1, go, and you get going? Did it all go away? Did all the noise go away? And once you got sweaty and got the heartbeat up, did you feel at home?
Yeah. I'm not sure about the first workout, but once we got like on the like in the stadium, the first workout, and it was like 3, 2, 1, that's when like yeah, it definitely went away and I could like just do what I always do.
What if any reasons were there that you wouldn't go to Rogue? Were there any reasons? We've talked about the benefits of going to, just get the experience, but were there any reasons like, hey, this isn't a good idea?
I mean, the only reasons are just like the reasons that everyone else doesn't go is just because it's like right after the games, and if you really want to like I don't know, it kind of takes away from like if you're doing a cycle or something to like really improve on something for the like new season, then it kind of like disrupts that, I guess. So just like affecting training for or getting better for the new season. But I think that it was like big enough thing, like experience for me, like it made me better itself, so it wasn't like I was disrupting like or not getting better from doing it.
I mean, do you Is the goal to win the CrossFit Games someday? Like, do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, but that's like not 2023 goal.
Right. Does that dream ever dim? Do you ever, like, after the games and then you're going to sign up for Rogue, you're like, man, like, do you ever feel, burnout or, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that thing that they say happens to kids if you train them too hard, or adults? I can't remember, but does the dream ever dim? Have you ever felt it, like another thought creep in?
Not really. I mean, like sometimes I've thought like, oh, this is going to be really hard, or like especially with like school and everything, like I don't know if I can do this, but I feel like especially after the games, I feel like I'm like more like inspired or motivated than ever. So, I don't know, I don't really get burnt out just because like I'm having so much fun doing it. And like yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. That it's interesting. I bet you there's people who after the games feel defeated, but you're in that spot where after that you're in a realistic spot, right? You had a great showing as a child, and now you're transitioning to the adult game. Well, what's weird is you're transitioning to the adult games, but you're still a kid. You are still a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
you're in
just
high
turned
school.
17, so
Do you drive? Do you have a driver's license?
yeah.
It's just every time I see you, I can't even believe it. How are things with Jacob? Does he look like he's going to make it another year as your coach? Are you keeping him, or as your training partner, or whatever you call him?
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Where are we? Are we re-signing the contract with Jacob?
No, he'll always be there, but we don't know yet. We're trying to just kind of see like how the season like or how Wadapalooza goes and everything to see if I might need like a more like professional coach like that's like to take the next step basically to them in the next level. But he'll always be there, so it's not like we're breaking up or anything.
And we could make fun of Jacob for not being professional, but really I think he has a lot of things going on, and he works hard at a lot of different tasks in his life. And for me, it's like if you're going to pursue that, I'm sure he wants to make sure that he can be as available as needed to support you. And and maybe that's not the case, then I think that's really cool that you guys are able to have that conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
What would that look like, Olivia? I mean, you have this semester left, and then you have a whole nother year of high school. What would that look like? Would you go to a training camp, or would you just take programming from someone else, or what would happen? You'd move to Fort Vancouver and with Ellie and Mr. Medeiros?
No, I definitely would not move until like I'm out of high school for sure. So I would just probably get programming from someone and do it at the barn, because I would still have Jacob and I have a couple other people that I train with, and I would still have them training with me. So yeah, I would not move.
Poor Jacob's probably terrified. What if like you're going to sign up with Mayhem and he's going to be stuck doing wall balls for the next and GHDs for the next 3 years? Is he able to keep up with you anymore? I mean, it's crazy what you're doing.
Oh yeah, he keeps up, especially in his like specialty workouts, like I don't know, the burpees, and I don't even know, but he definitely keeps up. He just thinks I beat him.
But he's still the man.
Yeah, and he just gets sore after every workout I do with him, so he doesn't like doing them.
Did you feel any pressure as a teen being at the top of the mountain, and maybe some of that pressure has gone away now that you're swimming in a bigger pond? I mean, you were the big dog, and now maybe you're a puppy. Do you feel any pressure release?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's still pressure on like making it to the games, but like right now, since we're still like months out from the real pressure, then I'm like definitely a lot more calm than I was like leading up to the games. I could definitely feel like a lot of the pressure, like I'm like the number one like seed, I'm the number one pick, and like all this, like what if I don't even win? And like, so I was definitely stressed leading into the games. But yeah, now that not like at Rogue, I wasn't as stressed because I was like, okay, I know I'm not going to win. Just go in and have fun and do the best you can. And so, yeah, definitely less stressed right now.
Do you know if you're going to go adult at the games? Have you made that decision yet, or is it still both doors are open? I mean, obviously both doors are open, but in your mind, have you made a choice?
Well, in my mind, I've like made the decision like that I want to like make it in the elite division, but now that like the new rule, you can do both semis. That also made a lot of stress off my plate. So now I can do both. So
What do you mean? Explain that to me. I'm not following.
like last year they said you could do you could do individual and teenage quarterfinals, open, all that. But once you get to semifinals, you have to like make a choice, like if you're going elite or going teenage. And so like that's when I had to make the choice that I was going in the teenage division. But this year you can do both. So like I can qualify as a teenager and then I can go do semis and just be like, what the heck? I already have a spot at the games if I don't make it, and do both.
Wow. So you won't actually have to make it as long as you're willing to do the workouts and keep succeeding at them. You can do. Could you do both at the games? Could she do both at the games, Brian?
No.
But what I hear her saying there is that that's stressful. Is that she's in a little bit of unknown. And what I've kind of always wanted, I think, is that at the start of the season, you just decide. When you sign up for the Open, you decide if you're going to compete on a team or as a age group or in an individual, and then that's locked in. It makes it easy for everyone to follow the trajectory of the season. Open it back up like this, for me, from my perspective, creates a lot of chaos and challenges in terms of people saying, well, who are the teams to watch at the games? Well, I don't know. There's 50 people on this roster. I'm not sure if that team's actually going to compete or half their people are going to go. I mean, 2 years ago, the top qualifying team out of quarterfinals in Europe, the best male and best female won individual. And so we didn't get a chance to see that team at all. It was a Spanish training culture team. I was excited to see them. We had to wait a whole year to see them. Anyway, so, but to hear an athlete say that it's also stressful is something that stands out to me, because CrossFit has been very open about the fact that they've communicated with athletes a lot in trying to make decisions going forward. They've been seeking out advice and counsel from athlete organizations, agents and managers in the space to try to, do things that are in line with what the athletes would like to see. So I don't know if it'll stay that way or not, but I do imagine that when you're good enough to make it on multiple paths, that it is a really difficult decision.
Is that accurate, Olivia? Basically, like, hey, it's nice having the options, but it's just added more stress for longer because you have the option for so long.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the most stressful part is just that, like, doing all the qualifiers. Like, I put on my schedule like all the qualifiers, and it's like one is like every weekend or like every other weekend. So I feel like that's the most stressful part, is just you never like get a break or get to really like train because you're just doing all these qualifiers. But for me, especially this year, I thought that it took like a lot of stress off my plate because I didn't have to like I like, since I want to go elite, if I went to semis and then like I would have so much stress there, like if I didn't make it. But this, now I can kind of go there and be like not as stressed because I already have a game spot. Like, I mean, obviously I still want to make it, but like, not as stressful because I'm still making it to the games either way.
Oh my goodness. So
well, let's before we get to this, hold this here for a second.
Okay.
You did the qualifier for Rogue, online qualifier.
Yeah.
And did you do the online qualifier for Wadapalooza, or were you invited to that?
I was invited, so I have to do that.
That's nice. And if people don't know, there are a lot of different ways that Wadapalooza invites athletes to compete in their competition, all individual games athletes, some teams, some age group winners. And then there's several other small competitions and historical stuff. So there's a lot of different ways, but that's at least nice that you didn't have to do that qualifier. But Sevan, just to put it in perspective, she did the Rogue qualifier. That was like end of August, beginning of September, competed in Rogue at the end of October. She's competing in Wadapalooza in the middle of January. In the middle of February, she has 3 weeks of Open. 2 weeks later, she has individual quarterfinals. 2 weeks after that, she has age group quarterfinals. A month after that, she has the age group she probably has the individual semifinals. Then she has the age group semifinals, and then she has the games.
Yeah, this is crazy. The one thing I don't know if you mentioned in there, Brian, was this. Oh, that's the team quarterfinal. Okay.
Yeah, the March 31st to April 2nd. So she'll do March 16 and 19 and 31st to 2nd.
So
And
Olivia,
then that gets her through 2 stages of the season. Then she'll have to do the age group
Oh, my
semifinals
goodness.
and the elite semifinals. So
What
she'll have to do
comes-
5 competitions before going to the games.
Olivia, what comes first in the semifinals? The age or the elite? Do you know?
Well, I think they're different weekends, aren't they?
Do you know which one comes first? Which comes
Oh,
in the order?
for the semifinals, I think age group semis are first,
Oh my goodness.
I believe.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you'll do those regardless. Because if it was the other way around, maybe after doing the semifinals, you might be like, okay, I'm good. I'm going elite. But now, wow, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever done that before, Brian? What she's going to do?
Yeah. I'm sure there's more than I'm forgetting, but I know that Sam Briggs has done it a couple of times.
I think
maybe.
Mal did it the year that or maybe it wasn't
think-
like the whole like quarter semis thing, but I
Yeah,
know
I
that
think
she
her and Emma
had
Carey both
qualified.
did that year.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, but it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. That's like she is saying. It's basically every other week she's competing for 3 months in a row or something.
I want to get back to this. I just want to let this person ask this question. Cole Solomon, Sevan, ask Olivia how she felt at the final workout at Rogue. The final workout was, what was that? That was the 30 clean and jerk?
Yeah.
And what was the weight on that?
I think it was 135.
Okay. The floor is yours, Miss Kerstetter.
Yeah, that was definitely that was so much fun. Whenever they announced it, I think I was
165. You don't know the difference between, that's how
Oh.
strong you are. You don't know the difference between, I would never forget that. I would never
Oh.
forget that. I'd be like bragging for a
165
month.
feels like 135 to her.
Oh my goodness.
That was a long time ago.
You are nuts.
Yeah, but whenever they announced that, I thought initially that it looked really fun, and I was like, okay, this is the very last workout. Just go and you like this workout, so just have fun and end it on a good note. And then I definitely did not expect to get second place, especially with Danny Spiegel in my heat. I was like, okay, just keep right behind her, and then you'll still get a good placing. And then I just kept going, and I felt really good. And then I don't know, it was kind of a blur, but it was definitely sparked some energy in me and made me motivated. So I'm glad that we ended on that one.
I think it might have won you a few fans as well. People were loving that.
I'm trying to remember. Were you on you were on the end closest to the camera and Danny was in the middle? Is that-
Yeah.
She was in the outside lane. She wouldn't know where the camera was necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. And you were pretty close, and you were pretty close to her. Were you ever ahead of her? And when you heard that voice in your head say, you're out there on the floor and you're like, okay, I'm just going to stay with Danny Spiegel. Is this all new to you? These type of thoughts and this type of strategizing?
I mean, yeah, it was new to me, but also since it was the last workout of the weekend, it was I was kind of used to the whole thought process by then.
And so you finish that workout, you take second place in it. And what was her time again, Caleb?
3:48.
So just to put this in perspective, I suspect that the 2007, 2008, and 2009 CrossFit Games, that would be a top 10 finish in the men's division. Maybe top 5. What do you think, Brian?
165.
Yeah.
In what years?
7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, I mean, well, we had
I mean, that's
squat,
crazy.
we had squat clean Grace, wasn't it, as the final of 2008? And I think that
And that was 155, but you had to squat it. But I think her time is competitive with Kalipa's, the champs that year.
yeah, and his time was a lot better than most of the guys.
Wow, we've come so far. When was the first time? How old were you when you're 17 now? Or were you 17 at Rogue also?
I was 16 at Rogue.
Of course you were. And 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 Annie's probably 32, right? So she's double your age, probably something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you the first time you pulled 165 off the ground and it went over your head?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay, we'll give you some. I'll help you out. Were you out of diapers?
Yes. I don't know.
Was it before you had a
probably,
driver's license?
Yeah, I think. I remember doing 160 for a clean and jerk in like Jacob's old barn. I was probably like 12 or 13. I'm not sure.
But keep in mind, like, like I mentioned about her sister, her sister, when she was 12 or 13, her sister was 15 or so, and she was podiuming
Yeah,
at the CrossFit
I was
Games,
training with her the whole time. So,
It's just normal to you, right? Like you don't? Do you feel strong, or is this just normal to you, or do you feel strong?
I mean, I feel strong, but
You do.
I'm just used to it now, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think that there's any do you think it's more how much do you think genetics plays into it? I'm not a big fan. A lot of people talk about genetics and prodigies, and I'm not a big fan of that. I think that I lean on the more like when people say, "Oh, your kids are so good at something," I'm like, they're just so talented. I'm like, no, they're not talented. They worked really, really hard. Like they came out of the womb looking, not being able to walk also.
Yeah, I don't know how much genetics plays into it. I mean, my like dad is pretty like big and strong, so but
All dads are
also
big and strong. Pick someone else. Pick someone else.
but also
all boys and girls say that.
but also my sister, like whenever she was competing at the games, her biggest weakness was strength. So like we're related and we have like totally different like strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, I don't know if it was genetics or just
I would
how
even
I
say you guys have
felt.
different body types. Like,
Yeah.
scientifically, there are different types of bodies. I'm not an expert on them, but I would say she's more tall and lanky relative to you.
Yeah. And she was like a gymnast, so she was definitely smaller.
Yes, Avi thinks his dad is strong. They walk around being like, my dad can pick up 200
Strong,
pounds.
but not big.
Yeah, and I never show him videos of Olivia, ever.
They're not allowed to watch this one.
No, absolutely not. I don't want to screw it up. It's like telling Santa Claus doesn't exist. Olivia, I was listening to Spencer Panchik yesterday. I was listening to an old podcast that he was on with Kettlebells and Cocktails, the John Woolsey over there. And it's actually a great interview. I really enjoyed it with just John and Spencer. And Spencer said that when he went to the CrossFit Games, he thought that he was going to be ready for it mentally because he had got to watch Saxon and Scott for so many years. And he's like, I got this. None of the pressure is going to get to me. And he got there and he's like, man, I was so wrong. The pressure really, really got to me. And there were a lot of obstacles to overcome. And he said that there is no substitute for going to the CrossFit Games. Does that resonate with you at all with being at Rogue? And he also had that bike incident that he had to mentally overcome, where he came in a lap early.
Yeah.
So he was dealt a, hey, here's a big dose of try to get over this. Any moments in Rogue, any emotional, like where you started beating up on yourself, or any unique highs or unique lows at Rogue?
Nothing that like comes to mind, just that I like obviously didn't like do how I thought I was going to, but I gave myself a lot of grace just because like I wasn't in shape because of like taking time off after the games and then like going back to school. So it was really hard for me to like stay in the same shape that I was like at the games. And so that might have been the hardest thing mentally, was just like trying not to look at the leaderboard and be like, oh, I thought I would do a lot better than I did, but yeah, like I said, gave myself a lot of grace. So
Um, Brian, where does Olivia rank as the most dominant young athletes that we've ever seen in the sport? Is it her and Mal O'Brien? Who is it?
Hmm.
Is Olivia
Well,
a nose ahead of her? A nose ahead of her?
there's just a changing landscape in that regard, because for a majority of the time that the teenage divisions have existed at the games, no one was really considering or able to make the elite divisions until they'd aged out. And then with Mal O'Brien and Emma Carey, we saw that happen. Then we saw it happen with Emma Lawson, and now Olivia's trying to continue that trend. Whereas prior to that, you had athletes like Haley Adams and Dallin Pepper, who were competing all the way through 17 years old. And, Dallin was 3 for 3 at the games, had a ton of event wins. Haley's last year at 17 years old, she won, I think, 7 of the 8 workouts at the games. And all of those other women, Mal, Emma Lawson, Emma Carey, and possibly Olivia, will be passing on their 17th year, or their last year in the teenage division. So it's kind of hard to say from that perspective.
Gotcha. But she's in the contention.
When you win the games as the younger person in your division, so Olivia won it at 16 against the 16 and 17 years old, that to me immediately elevates you amongst anyone who won it in the older year, because so many things are changing for people when they're 14 to 15 and 16 to 17.
Right. And so, Olivia, let me ask you this hard question. There are these great athletes who you see have these holes in the games, who have holes. Speaking of Haley Adams, right? She's this great athlete, and if she filled up this hole that everyone always talks about, she could be sitting on the podium, for many years. You look at who's another one? Laura Horvat. When you see that, and then you went out to Rogue, was it the rope climb? There was an event where you took last place, right? Was there an event you did really poorly on?
the running one.
Was it the running one?
She was the only one she was last place in was the running one, but she had the rope climb one you're thinking about, the dual 2. She was 19th, and then the one with all the ring muscle up, she was also 19th.
So obviously you're young, and so you can be like, you have that to lean on. Like, hey man, I'm so much younger than these guys. I've had so many fewer reps than them. I've had so much less experience. But when you see this and you start seeing your holes, are you already thinking about addressing them? Like, hey, I have 4 years to address this until I'm 20. Like, oh my goodness, I need to start being a triathlete. Or does Jacob? Oh, you got muted or something. Maybe your hand's over the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, beautiful.
Oh, okay. Well, immediately after Rogue, I actually made a list like on my phone of like all the things that I took away from Rogue and like wanted to work on. And basically like a week later after I'd taken time off, I like showed it to Jacob and was like, okay, we're fixing all of these before like semis and before the season starts. So yeah, I definitely noticed those holes and wanted to fix, like I knew that they were there, and I knew I hadn't really worked on them since the games because of just taking time off and starting school and being busy, and just such a short amount of time from the games to Rogue. So I knew I hadn't really fixed them, and I knew they were there. But then after Rogue, I feel like I was kind of like more motivated to like, okay, that was embarrassing. We're fixing these now so that they're not a problem anymore.
So you do that. So Jacob doesn't even have to tell you. He doesn't have to pull you aside and be like, yo, you have the hard talk with yourself.
Oh yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, I made the list myself and showed him, was like, we're doing this. And he's fine with it because it's everything he's good at.
and how about reaching out to someone like a specialist in the field like Hinshaw? Will you do, is that something that's on your list? Okay, reach out to someone like Chris. I mean, I'm sure he would kill to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with him once before, so that's something we did like a little, like probably right before like the summer last year, like in April or something. We worked with him a little bit. So I have some like insight from that and like advice and like stuff that he gave me that I worked on a lot during the summer for running. And so I saw a bunch of improvements during the summer. But yeah, we could definitely reach out to him again or get like some professional like insight into helping my running.
What about doing something completely unorthodox? What about joining the track team or the cross country team at your high school? Like Fraser did.
I
And just get your
actually
shit
really
humbled.
thought about this year. Like I wanted to join cross country and the swim team.
Wow. Wow.
And I almost did it, but I think that I don't know why I didn't, to be honest, but I think that like it would just take up too much time that I know the cross country team practices after school, and after school I go to the gym. So I guess it would just have to be a conversation of like if the time that it's cutting out of my like CrossFit time is like worth it for if it fixes the weaknesses.
I'd love it if you joined the track team and Jacob goes out there and gets into a scuffle with some of the coaches. What are you doing? Don't talk to her like that. What are you doing? No, she's not running that.
No, yeah, I used to do track in middle school, but it's kind of like right during like the open and all that. So, like it's in the spring, so it's like during all the qualifiers. So I can't really do it now. But
well, you're gonna have another year. You still have your senior year.
I know, but I also like for my school, if we do a sport, then like if I wanted to do the whole half day thing, if we do a sport, then you have to like be in a certain number of classes. So I wouldn't be able to do that.
Cooking, sewing.
Yeah, I wish.
Free reading. I heard you were on Talking Elite Fitness. This is a great story, and it's kind of a funny story, but I want to talk about it like it's serious because I'm curious how important it was to you. Jacob offered you, I think you were 12 years old, and he offered you $500 if you didn't complain for a whole month. And on the 30th day, he gave you like he picked your two worst movements. I forget what it was, running, and maybe, I don't know what the other one was. And to try to get you to complain, and you didn't complain, and you made it the whole 30 days. Did that actually work? Is that story true? And did that actually work? So you stopped complaining from there on out?
Yeah, that story is true. He made me do like the double under mile. So we had to do like 35 or 50 or something double unders like every minute on the minute until you like run a mile.
So you run with your rope.
Yeah. And do like double unders on the track. But yeah, those at the time, those were like my two least favorite movements. Like I was terrible at both of them. So that's what he was trying to get me to complain, but I didn't do it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like for a while after it, I didn't complain just because I was like so used to like not. But now he always jokes that he needs to like make that bet again because I complain too much now.
Is it going to be?
I guess it didn't stick this whole time.
It would be $5,000 now, tell him.
Yeah, you got to up the ante.
Yeah.
The real question is, how much does Jacob complain?
Yeah, I feel like he complains too, but I'm the only one that gets hate for it.
I really appreciate you coming on. It's always wonderful seeing you. What a shining light and great asset you are to the CrossFit community. Thanks for being you. Thanks for letting us take a peek at your life and letting us talk to you at 9 a.m. on your vacation.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
It's not easy to do. That was a very fast 45 minutes, Olivia. You did great. It's nice to have you here, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Good luck at Wadapalooza.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no Wadapalooza questions. I didn't even get to that.
I mean, seriously, it was could have had it on for twice as long. It's very easy to talk to.
Brian, you think she's going to be able to fill those holes? And by the time we're 20, we're looking at like a top 5 finisher every year?
Maybe. I think that she's right on the money. Like, she's got to balance a lot of stuff right now. When you're in high school, there are certain things that you have to set aside time for. And when you want to pursue the CrossFit Games like this, same thing. Like, there's not a lot of room for error. So I think if she's able to, I think that maybe the best case scenario for her to achieve that would be to finish school as soon as possible, to open up some time for her. And then she needs to, I think, probably make the commitment to, a few months of a swimming cycle or running cycle that is taking a little bit of the time away from the barbell. And I also think that a little bit of a focus on the upper body pulling for gymnastics, just looking at especially the workouts, from Rogue that she struggled with. It was the muscle ups on the log, 18th, rope climb, legless rope climb, 19th, ring muscle ups, 19th. And then snatch and press with the strict handstand push-ups, 18th. So gymnastics needs to be right up there alongside the conditioning. I think we know that she's going to crush the barbell.
So basically, we have 2 years to see.
Well, if you said by 20, I mean, the other thing that's challenging, and there's no point in shying away from it, is in your way is Emma Lawson, Emma Carey, Mal O'Brien, Haley Adams, Gabby McGowan, Laura Horvath. They're increasingly getting older, between 17 and 25 years old. But by the time she's 17, the oldest of those will still be Laura Horvath at 29. And there's no reason to think that any of those women won't continue to be threats to the podium, over the next 5 years.
Right. All that being said, her glass ceiling theoretically is further away than all of those girls.
I think so. But I'm not really sure. Like, it's still in my mind that if Haley Adams is committed to her strength this year and for 2 more years, that by 2027, she might be the one to beat. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility for me, because she's so good at all the other stuff. The problem is, if she does that and she gets stronger, will she still be that good at those things? And same question for Olivia. Like, will she still be able to win heavy grace when she's running, a 5:30 mile? I'm not sure.
Would you, if you were an athlete, would you rather be in Olivia's situation where you need to work on your running, or Haley Adams need to work on your strength?
Olivia, I think I don't know that this is exactly accurate, but I think as Ben Bergeron, and maybe he wasn't the first to say it, but he was the first I heard say it, that he said, you want to improve your cardio, give me 6 months. You want to improve your strength by the same margin, I need 6 years.
Wow. Okay. And where do you fall on the genetics versus the training?
I think genetics is a factor for sure. I mean, look, if you were to look up her sister, you'll see she's when she was competing, she's very skinny relative to what Olivia is, and they both had some success. Her sister was 3rd place, I think, at the games in her best year. Obviously, Olivia's won it, but the things they were excelling at were a little bit different.
All right. And
they were from the same family. So, just because
right.
You're from the same family doesn't mean you're going to get the same genes. But that's a good example of where the body type, someone who's got a thicker bone structure compared to a thinner, or longer muscles compared to shorter, is going to have an inherent advantage on certain things. There's nothing that can I don't think that you're genetically a hard worker, though. And I think anyone can be a hard worker.
Right. 2027. I know. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Spencer, what's up, dude?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Awesome. Great to see you.
You too.
I cleaned my office last night and listened to endless interviews of you. So I feel like I spent the whole evening with you, and now here you are.
Right.
I want to start with this post that your brother made that is just absolutely brilliant. I watched it like 10 times. Will you pull that up, Mr. Beaver? It's with you and Saxon and Scott fooling around with the worm. Where are you in this? Which one are you?
I'm at the front.
Yeah. Okay. So this is 2016.
This is great.
This is nuts.
I'm giving you hell.
Where are you? Is that you in the middle or the back?
I'm in the middle.
Oh, thank God.
I at least made it underneath it. And just saying, Scott should have been facing the other way.
Okay.
This is wild.
And then that's you in the front here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this quick question about the worm. Are there rules to it, by the way? Do you all have to be facing the same way?
I have no idea. I've done team before, and I can't remember. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. That's a really good question.
I think yes. I think Scott was just doing that because he's like, I know one of these idiots is going to mess it up, and I want to make sure I see it.
Tell me about that. Can you go back to 2016? Do you remember that day?
Oh, I do.
So can you walk us through? No detail is too small. So this worm's just sitting over at in Scott's gym, and he's like, "Come on, boys, let's go fool around with this thing."
Yeah, that was actually Scott ordered it, and he's like, "All right, we got to hit a couple workouts on it." And I'm pretty sure we've been on it before, but he's like, he just put us in different spots. He's like, "All right, pick it up," and that's when everybody's facing a different direction. But it was just like no instructions. It was just like, pick it up.
And then in 2022, it's a whole different game. 4 years later.
Yeah.
He's older and weaker, and you two are stronger and smarter.
I wouldn't say he's weaker.
No, he's not, huh?
That man's still strong.
Is this the first time you guys are on the same team together?
No.
No, we've done Wadapalooza on team before.
At least twice.
Yeah.
And
I remember I was there in 2017 watching you guys, and I was extremely impressed. I think you guys all snatched 275.
285.
285 back to back. It was crazy.
That was such a fun event.
Whose idea was it this year to go all as a team together? And tell me how that works. Are you guys all in? Do you guys all say yes right away, or do some of you be like, I don't know?
Well, Scott and I talked about it, and Saxon went and he was competing, and unfortunately Saxon's not coming down with us this year, so we're in the process of finding another teammate. He was just from traveling and stuff. He just wants to kind of focus on the year, so we're accepting resumes for a third teamate.
So he's injured, but you're not allowed to talk about it.
No, he's not injured.
Okay.
He's not injured.
So one quick thing before we dig into that, what a cool event Wadapalooza is that you can do that. There's probably so many events that wouldn't allow you to do that, and Wadapalooza has been notorious for to just allow people to come in last minute to make changes, because at the end of the day, it's about just going down there and competing. Yeah,
I think Wadapalooza, I think it's a really big platform, but it's definitely more of the it's a more relaxed competition, but it's still competitive because athletes are just going down there and just having fun.
When Saxon, are you guys on a three-way when he tells you, or does he text you? How do you find out that he's thinking about not doing it?
He talked to Scott, and then I sent him a message, and because he was up for Christmas, and we did like some of that team stuff, and he drove up from Tennessee, and I think by the time he got back, he was just kind of smoked from the trip, and he went to he competed in Australia on a team, and then Rogue, and I think he just really wants an off season.
And he has two kids?
Yeah, he has two twin girls.
Yeah, crazy. And when he tells you that, do you guys try to talk him into it? Like, hey, buddy, don't worry. We're just
still trying to talk him into it.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay, good. I like it. What any candidates for the third wheel?
It's kind of late. We're struggling finding anybody. We reached out to a couple people, and I know some people are going individual, some are going team, some are doing both. But I don't know. It's just where to start.
I'm in pretty good shape right now.
Let's do it.
Brian. Wow. And does that stress you out at all about that?
A little bit, because I really want to, I definitely want to get down there and compete with Scott. I know, who knows when he's going to stop competing. He always says he is, and then he just keeps going. So anytime I get a chance to get on the floor with him, I really want to do that.
Has your not that you and Scott, not that there's any signs or I didn't see anything where you and Scott had a falling out at all, but I'm just like in all relationships, there's ebb and flows. Have you kind of rekindled? I kind of get this impression from listening to some of your interviews that you and your brother have rekindled your love for each other. You're training with them once a day, and that you guys are starting to really bond again.
Yeah, it's just brothers, and we went and opened up a affiliate, Saxon and I, and we did that for a few years and ran into a few issues with our landlord and wouldn't renew our lease, and ended up just kind of shifting our focus just on competing right now. Saxon moved to Tennessee, so I was just kind of up here and training alone, and it gave me a chance to really kind of get back and train with Scott. And again, it just kind of like rekindled my relationship with Scott, and it's just been fun since.
Yeah, you're loving it, huh?
Yeah.
And no kids, just a dog.
Just a dog.
Yeah, you are a smart man. There's plenty of time, buddy. Plenty of time. Plenty.
Spencer, do you have a new coach this year?
I'm working with Nick Fowler.
Oh,
Nick Fowler is very
worked with-
experienced coach.
Yeah,
Wow.
I worked with him last year going into semifinals. And then I felt like I needed to kind of train with some people, and I went down and trained with some people at Mayhem going into the games. And then I ended up kind of stepping back and really, I just wanted to focus on myself and make sure I'm doing everything that I need for myself personally. And I ended up talking to Nick, and we decided to kind of pick up where we left off and go into the new year training together.
is it lonely training at Mayhem when you're the new guy?
No, I don't know if there
No?
is always somebody new coming in.
Right. The reason why I say that is I was watching a video yesterday with Rich and Tyler Christophal working out, and I saw just Roman in the background just working out. And it's not like you guys, aren't capable of that. But I was thinking, I wonder if it's people go there thinking that they're just going to fit in and assimilate. But really, I mean, you're coming into a really tight knit group of people, right? With Rich and Haley and Guy and Tyler and Samuel. And so it's not difficult kind of meshing with the group.
No, not at all. Everybody's really welcoming. And I had a chance. I've trained down there multiple times. My previous coach was Facundo. So we went down there and trained a few times before. And I have a really good relationship with each one of those guys down there.
Why?
And that games camp also had a lot of athletes that had come in, and some of whom came from much further than Spencer. I think that the South American woman Michelle Morand was there. Uldis Upanix had come from Latvia. Lazar was in town.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of kind of people who aren't usually there.
Yeah. It just every week somebody new kept coming in.
Was that the first time you met Lazar?
I've met him before. I actually built up a really good relationship with him. He's a good dude, and he's just a really hard worker.
Was that where you guys devised the plan to skip a lap on the bike workout?
Listen, I'll take that to the grave. I'm convinced I didn't skip a lap.
What a crazy. I mean, in hindsight, it's so cool, but at the time, what a crazy situation, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were going through, and everyone that was such a hard thing for me to overcome at the games, because for me as an athlete, somebody questioning my integrity, that's something that I just hold very
wait, people were actually questioning whether you did it on purpose?
Oh yeah, the amount of messages that I got, and people's agents,
that's batshit crazy.
People's agents were putting posts out saying that I got away with murder, and I'm like, I will not work with you. But what a lot of people don't realize is it's 5 laps, but not only are you under fatigue, but you're communicating. And anybody who says they're not drafting with other athletes and talking as they're going through every 3 to 4 minute, every lap was 3 to 4 minutes, and you're constantly having a conversation with somebody. And again, I can see how it could be easy to lose track. But when I came out going into the last, was it 4 or 5 laps? I saw Lazar in front of me, and we were just communicating the whole time. And I'm like, this is the last lap. He's like, this is the last lap. Like, I'm like, are you sure this is the last lap? And I'm like yelling at the judges on the side. I'm like, last one. And I come around to the gate, and I said, this is the last one. And the guy flag and waved us in. He's like, last lap, and waved us in. So I mean, I was convinced that I hit all my laps.
Yeah. To this day, does it feel like, when you think about it, are you like, okay, I did 5 laps?
I mean, my family was up top and they're like, I swear you did all the laps.
Awesome.
But again, I think there's so many people on the course, and I mean, I was lapping people coming around on my last one. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I'm lapping somebody in a 1 mile course.
But you were lapping people.
Yeah, I was
which made the counting even more fucked up.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really difficult. And again, I think that's in CrossFit where it's hard to have the consistency in events because we're always testing something different. So there's always going to be something new to take into account when something were to come up again. But like I said, I'm convinced I did all my laps. But again, that was just a wake up call for me at the CrossFit Games of being able to just let that roll off my shoulders. And for me, like I said, somebody questioning my integrity. That was just very, very difficult for me to process going into another event. I felt like I worked and I trained really hard to do well in an endurance event. So it was, like I said, it was just very difficult for me to let that roll off my shoulders. But again, there's so many events and that's going to happen. And it's how well can you just move past that?
When you came in, you came in first then, right?
No, Lazar came in before me. Cause I was like, let's just draft. I'm like, your lane's closer. Like, I'm fine with second. Like, cause I'm fine with third. Cause we thought, Yona Kosky was the only one that was in front of us. So we assumed that he was already across the finish line. So we came in, I'm like, I'm fine with the third place in this workout. And then like we came in and he rode his bike all the way to the field. So as we come in and start pushing the bikes, he's pushing his bike to the far lane. And I'm like, oh man, like I'm going to beat him because he didn't get off his bike when he was supposed to. So I'm like, they're making him go to the last lane. So I'm going to take second in this workout. And actually he started pushing his bike back outside of the stadium.
Why? How did he know? Did someone signal him?
Somebody at the end said like one more or something like that to him, I think.
Oh no, that actually screwed him, right?
Yeah, because I sprinted across the line as if like that was it. So they ended up going back and taking our slowest lap and adding it on. But for him, I mean, he ended up, the penalty affected him even more because
he went back for a second.
He went back. So he not only did he lose the time from where his lane was, but he lost the time from where his lane was. He went to the end of the stadium and then back to his lane. So not only did they take his slowest lap, but they added that time onto it as well.
And when you cross the finish line, when do you realize, something's not right here?
I didn't see Yona and I'm like, oh no.
Oh shit.
I'm like, maybe he did an extra lap. And
yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That fucking idiot did an extra lap.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like he probably did an extra lap. And then Boz came over and he's like, you only did 4. And I'm like, I did 5. Like I swear I did 5. So again, I think I mean, for me, I definitely think the penalty, I mean, I was expecting the worst. I was expecting to just take a DNF in the workout. So I was like, I mean, I was really, I was happy with what I got. But again, I know it could have been much worse, but I think part of it was on CrossFit. I think part of it was on the athletes. And then again, I think, realistically, I think it was a fair penalty. I think everyone will say you still missed the lap. But I don't think anybody was going to, like, there was such a big gap between Lazar and I and then the people behind us that I think it would have been very, very difficult for somebody to catch up. But who knows? Anything can happen.
Spencer's one of the best dudes in the sport. How could anyone question his integrity? I mean, I agree, but even if you were even the worst integrity. No one out there is going to think that they're going to get away with doing 4 laps on purpose. And by the way, everyone, that's had to have happened to everyone in a workout. And when you're doing it in your
when I do
gym,
shuttle runs, I lose track. And it's
Yeah.
only 25 feet down and back.
It's like,
Yeah,
what point do you grab like chips or cards to count your rounds?
these are 3-minute laps. And like you're saying, if you're taught right, weren't they like three?
It was
so
like
there's
3 to 3:30ish.
So there's a lot of time to talk. Like you're saying, you're talking to other people, you're dealing with stuff. It's very easily for your mind to wander to something else and not keep track.
Yeah.
What would be the plan of attack next time? If you could go back and do that, how would you have counted them? Is there any like pull something off your wrist or yell the number out loud as you?
I think I would have just asked the question, and I think that's on me. I wish I would have just asked the question during our athlete brief. And I would have just said, at what point do you start grabbing chips to count your rounds in a workout in a gym? Because going back, I really don't know if there's much I could change. How could I figure out a way to do that as an athlete? And when I look at it, it's like in the NFL, what, like, if there's a penalty, is it like, oh no, like you held me, you know? So it's like, how do you determine like what's the athlete's responsibility and then what's the judge's responsibility? So again, I just think I just wish I would have asked the question, and I think there would have been a solution that everybody could have came to. Because again, it just wasn't Lazar and I. Some people did extra laps, some people did.
It happened in the women's division. It was just chaotic. And I mean, I think it's great that you take, some of the responsibility on the athletes, but for me, there's no excuse from the CrossFit Games perspective. There was nothing going on that day other than that. You had all of the access to all of the judges, all the resources that you need. Yeah. Just have one judge stay inside to count the gymnastics and one judge go outside and yell at their athlete every time they come by.
Yeah. And I think figuring out how do you, like, everybody has helmets on. It's like everybody looks the same. It's like trying to pick somebody off while they're swimming. It's like you're looking at like swim caps and stuff like that. And it's just, I think like going back, I think there could have been like maybe like a speedometer on the bikes or, like those things that you click.
Oh, odometer. Yeah.
Odometer.
Yeah.
I think something like that could have helped the athletes. But again, I think it was just a very unique test. It was a great test. And I think, I think there was, it's just very, very hard to plan for, I think. And I just wish an athlete would have asked the question. And again, like looking back, I'm like, I don't know what I would have done different.
You know what about this, Brian? Is this too chaotic? But why not let the coaches stand somewhere?
Well,
in this particular event, and let them yell, as your guy comes by, as Scott, who did you give your coach badge to? Spencer.
Scott.
Who did you gave it to Scott. Okay. So thank you, Brian. And then so Scott could have just been yelling at you, right? 1.
Yeah.
Quit being a pussy. 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an open course out there or not, and if I don't think that.
No, there was people that could. There was people that could, because everybody was calling me Saxon. I'm like thinking Lazar's laughing. He's like, it's Spencer.
Look I just called you Scott. It happens.
Like, go Sax. I'm like, he's right behind you. He's coming.
I was so scared when I was making the thumbnail for this video that I was going to use the wrong. I was going to use Saxon instead of you. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to his Instagram, and I'm just stealing pictures from there.
That's funny.
Hey, when does I got this issue at home I want to ask you about. 2 of my boys are 6 now, and one of them is 8, and the fighting has really been upped. Lots of like it's just nonstop wrestling, like just so much wrestling, and like even at the dinner table, there I see some face shots or kicking under the table, and they're having a blast until they're not, right? When does that stop? When am I going to get
I don't think it ever stops.
No, it doesn't. Oh man. And then if they hurt each other, they all start crying. I'm like, listen, like, well, how did you think this was going to end?
Yeah. I don't think it ever stops. I think it
only escalates.
Yeah.
Great. Any advice for me? I just take them out to the garage and make them run on the treadmill when I can't handle it.
There you go. Make it a little fitness challenge.
Yeah. All
You're gonna
right.
keep running here until none of you are crying anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Basically,
That's the stuff our
basically.
dad would do.
Yeah, basically. I have this game that I have them play that's pretty cool. I feel like it's pretty manipulative. I stand them in a triangle and I have them throw a ball at each other. And if anyone drops the ball, they all do a burpee.
Oh, that's cool.
And that usually will buy me like 30 minutes of like, because it's raining here and for like 5 days straight and we can't go outside. Outside, it's all good. Inside, it's just WWF.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
I mean, Scott, I remember him coming home from college and we're throwing wrestling mats out in the driveway and we're just letting it roll.
Would that scare your mom?
No, I think she's been through enough that she's just like, okay, like they're fine. Just let them have it out.
Sevan, is it a 2-on-1 over there?
No, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. You would think that the twins would team up on the older brother. It's not like that at all. Avi will be beat.
5 boys, so.
Oh, with you, there's 5?
Yeah, there's 5 boys. So, I mean, I remember the day that I pinned at least everybody once, and then I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, it's there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's just some dude just eating a sandwich at the table. Another dude just comes by and slaps him in the face. And then it's just on. I'm like, what? My wife blames me. She's like, this is the culture you built. Let's go back to this switching coaches. Are you looking for a home? Like, would you like to be settled? Would you like to like do the next like? Do you have a dream situation or anything that's realistic where you'd like to just be somewhere for like 6 years, the next 6 years or 10 years?
I mean, right now I'm really happy with what I'm doing. And for me, I really enjoy having a coach that's working with few athletes, and a lot of the focus can kind of be on me, and it doesn't really, I think it's really easy to get diluted. Especially with like a lot of like training camps and stuff. I think because at the end of the day, there's so many athletes and there's so many hours in a day. It's how can you give each person what they need? And I think it's really important to find a coach that's going to give you the focus that you need. And for me, that was something that I was like really seeking out, where it's, hey, here's your splits. You need to hit these, and like these are the times.
It's I was listening to Danielle Brandon talk about that, about how when she was at the Underdogs Athletics, it was kind of one size fits all. And now she's with Matt Torres, and, they just train 2 people at a time. Yeah. And it's her and Dallin. So obviously hers is going to be different. And she was saying the same thing. Like, hey, I'm flourishing under individual attention.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think, the sport is, it's still evolving, and I don't think there's a perfect formula yet. But I know that it's requiring more and more hours of training. And, Saxon was up training, and I'm like, man, he's training, like he's doing a lot of training too. And like, I look at like some of the stuff that Scott's doing, and I think, it's so important while you're at a younger age to be able to build up as much fitness, because as you get older, obviously recovery becomes more of a priority. And I think it's kind of getting ahead of the game. And then as you develop all these skills and strength, it's going to kind of carry with you as you get older. And I think that's how you build longevity in the sport.
When you look at what Scott's doing compared to what you guys are doing, would you say that you guys are investing a similar amount of time in the day towards trying to optimize your fitness, but what you're doing that's what shifted for him?
Yeah. He looks at what I'm doing. He's like, dude, you're crazy. But again, I think the sport's evolving so much that it's just demanding so much more from the athletes. And for him, he's 35 now. And I think in order for him to be able to continue in the sport, it's putting more of that focus on, really, it's going back to the roots of CrossFit, and it's the hours you have in the gym, like you're putting everything you have into it. It's a lot of high intensity stuff where a lot of stuff that I'm doing, you see more of like linear progressions, and you're doing a lot, like you're going through different building blocks, where somebody like Scott, he's fit year round, but it's a more balanced training. So for him to be able to go and step on a competition floor any time of year, like he's good to do that, where you have some of these athletes that they're trying to develop skills that they really need to work on, but they spent the last like 4 to 6 weeks doing a block of just really putting a lot of focus on that. And that's their focus. And they know they're not maybe ready to compete necessarily. But I think they're trying to peak for the right time.
So you're training.
Yeah, are there
Go ahead,
times where
Brian.
you guys maybe will, train together for 90 minutes and then you'll be like, yeah, I got this strength progression I got to work on. He's like, great, I'll be over here foam rolling.
Yeah. I mean, when Saxon was up here, that was kind of like what we did. And for Scott, it's just like, I'm going to go do a cardio session now.
So you're training more than him. You're putting in more time.
I don't want to say more time. I'm more time in the gym. He's putting more time in doing recovery and focusing on the stuff that he needs in order to stay competitive in the sport.
It still might be, 7 hours of invested time towards your fitness, but you might be spending 5 in the gym and 2 on the side, and he might be doing 4 in the gym and 3 on the side or something.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think about what Ariel Lowen's doing? She takes the classes at a CrossFit affiliate and then she gets the workouts a week in advance and then makes her other workouts around the movements that she didn't get in the CrossFit class. It seems like, I mean, that's pretty, are you impressed by that? Or are you like, holy shit?
I mean, that's impressive. I mean, that would be hard for me. And I think where the sport's going, it's very difficult with how much attention goes into programming. And I understand from owning an affiliate with from a programming standpoint, and that was just a workout, a strength, and maybe a skill a day. And that was just hours a day of just programming. And I look at kind of like what I'm doing now and how much more time actually goes into that. And becoming a coach, it's very demanding. And if you can take that stress off an athlete, I think that's going to help the athlete a lot more. And I think there's those hours can be spent in other places. And I think for an athlete, it's time management of how you can maximize your time at getting better.
How did you pick Nick?
Like I said, I worked with him last year. Scott recommended him to me. I know he talked to a few of his athletes before. I know Jacob Hepner worked with him, and Scott was like, "This is a good guy. This is somebody that I think will be a good fit for you." A lot of the athletes he works with have built up really good aerobic capacities, and for me, it was a lot of stuff that I really needed to work on. And after working with him, we just built up a really good relationship, and I'm really enjoying it right now.
I think he lives out west somewhere. Is that right?
Yeah, he's in Salt Lake City.
When the new season format came out, did you give any thought to maybe relocating west, knowing that there's, going to be an east and a west, and maybe being proximity to him? Was that a conversation you guys had at all?
No, I enjoy being around family, and I spent some time down in Tennessee, and for me, I just like that's my family's what really kind of drives me, and I enjoy being around them. And for me, I think it would hurt my performance a little bit more than help it.
Spencer, is your body composition still changing?
Yeah. Yeah. I started working with Mike from M2, and that was something that I decided to do this year, is put on a little bit more size.
Yeah, you look bigger. You look like you're turning into your brother.
I increased my calories. Saxon and I just think we have such high metabolisms, and I mean, we're consuming 6,000 plus calories, and I mean, it's kind of the off season right now still. But I think like taking a step back, I'm like, man, I was very, very underfueled last year, and like I was tired and kind of going through the motions in a sense. And this year, I feel like I'm at the point where I'm putting size on. I'm taking all my fitness with me, and like I have so much more energy. I feel like it's just so hard to leave the gym.
I never put too much stock into the athletes' weights that are recorded, because they're not actually weighing you guys, so we don't really know. It's just whatever you choose to report. But I think that for the majority of your careers, you guys have been competing about 10 pounds lighter than most of the other games athletes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just looking at the stats, you can look at, in order to, based off past guys that have won the games, you're looking at guys that are about 5'7" to 5'8" and 190 to 200 pounds. And for me, I fit the height. It's just, it's putting the weight on. And I think that weight will carry into a lot more like strongman stuff. And I look at a lot of my gymnastic skills, and I think that's kind of, those are movements that I'm pretty good at. But I think just kind of playing with the weight and not putting it on too fast. But if I can take those gymnastic skills with me, I think with where it can help out with a lot of like my weightlifting and strongman stuff, I think it can really help me as an athlete.
I heard someone say recently that when you show up at the games or you want to compete at the highest level, that it is also important that when you show up to the games, you show up as the very absolute leanest version of yourself that can still compete. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think you need to go in a little bit heavier because it's going to be so hard to consume the amount of calories that you need to over the course of the weekend. And I think if you go in underfueled and lean, I think by Sunday, I think you're just going to be just spent. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And I think that's
alone.
more of the Matt Fraser school. I think that was the Matt Fraser school of thought too, right?
Yeah,
but Sevan, you've told story from I think 2011 where you were standing next to Greg and he saw Annie Sakamoto walk out and he goes, "She's too skinny. She's not going to do well this year." Like immediately, he knew
too
it.
lean. Yep.
Yeah. Nutrition is such a. I just wish I would have dove into it more because I'm like, I'm just going to keep eating. I'm going to keep eating, and I think having that balance of your macros and just to chart it down and just make sure you're consuming enough because it's. When you're eating such clean food, the amount of food you actually have to eat, it's crazy.
Yeah. Is it hard?
Really hard. Cause I'm the type of person, I don't like to eat a ton of candy to get my calories. I'd rather just keep it. Like for me, I want to make sure I know I'm doing everything right. And I don't want to put something in my body that I feel like can hurt me. And, so for me, I'm definitely consuming a lot more food.
What are your go-to junk foods like rice and potatoes? And I say that joking around when I say junk food, but what are your go-to like, hey, I need fast fuel?
Yeah.
Baby food?
During the day, I do a lot of like dried fruit and applesauce. And I'll do like body armor, stuff like that. And then like for like my carbs and stuff, it's just a ton of oatmeal and rice.
Yeah, crazy. And do you not? I heard you also say you don't like to work out with a full stomach at all. Who does, right?
I don't.
Hey, can that happen at the games? Can that happen at the games where you eat at the? Have you ever done that at the game or at the semifinals or at the quarterfinals or where it's like, oh shit, I have too much food in me?
No, I think the problem is you're going from event to event so fast that it's just. I mean, you're kind of eating stuff that's just very easy to digest, and then come nighttime, it's just force feeding yourself.
Do you feel when you were at the games this year, or when you're in these long events, that you're just this calorie burning machine? Like you're like, I just ate this bar and it's gone. Like you literally just feel your body just
yeah. I mean,
nuke it.
I went into the game so under fueled this year. It's ridiculous. Like I look back and I'm like, I'm such an idiot.
Wow.
Yeah, but don't be. I mean, I don't think be too hard on yourself. You know, those are some of the things that you have to learn, and there's a variety of different reasons why people struggle in their first or 2 years at the games relative to what their perceived expectation is. Yeah. And getting the nutrition right is tough.
Yeah, and that's it. Like I'm still kind of figuring it out, and I've adjusted my numbers a lot, but I finally feel like I'm kind of at a point that I'm like, okay, like these are good numbers. I'm keeping weight on, and I'm able to take a lot of like my gymnastics and stuff with me. But
what is the breakdown? Do you know offhand? Like, is there some carb, fat, protein
right now,
ratio?
I don't know exactly what the ratio is. Like my carbs are like 750 to 800. I think my fats are like 135. And then my protein's like 260, something like that. Give or take some numbers.
When you go into, are you doing, when you do Wadapalooza this year, will you just do teams or will you do individual also?
We'll see if we can find a teammate. I mean, I'd really like to go team. I really want to, I want to compete with Scott, and
I might have someone for you, Spencer. I'll talk after this.
Perfect. I thought about going individual. That's still something I'm kind of talking with my coach about. But again, like we were going through like some progressions and stuff, and really kind of focusing on the year, but going down and having some fun and building some memories with my brothers. So we'll kind of see where it goes.
Why wouldn't you do both? Just because you don't want to, because it would influence your capabilities in the team competition the last 2 days?
Yeah, I think Scott was only doing team, and I think I think that would be kind of messed up to go down and do both, where he's kind of like, I mean, he's been training hard because he was so excited to go team, and like I want to make sure I can give it my all is for the team.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. How's the uncle life? Are you enjoying it?
I love it.
Uncle life is the best. You get to spend time with them. When you're done with them, you're like, here you go, back to the parents.
I just got over a cold because I was at my parents for Christmas, and everybody's like sick, and they're like like just jumping all over me. And but I love it. It's awesome.
How old's your oldest niece or nephew?
She is. I mean, there's so many. She's 10.
It's okay. So they know you. So you're the cool uncle.
Yeah, I'm the cool uncle. I'm the funkle.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, congratulations. How many are there?
There's Scott just had one, so 8.
8. Wow. And you got to spend your family with all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good life.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love getting them all together. And my parents love it even more.
So this last year was your first year going to the CrossFit Games. And how old are you?
26.
When Saxon went before you, did that fuel the fire, or did you ever feel the dream? Let me go back a second. I remember seeing you in Carson.
Yeah.
And you were just the two guys who would pull up in the car with your parents. You'd be the two little kids in the car, and Scott would I would walk Scott to the car and try to get some behind the scenes stuff, and I would see you guys, and I'd be like, holy crap, it's two little mini me's. When did you know that you would go to the games? Like, did you remember ever sitting in bed at night or out on the track running and be like, holy shit, I'm going to go to the games?
I've always said it, and I mean, I wasn't going to stop until I did it. And I think this year, Saxon moving away was kind of a blessing because it allowed us to each focus on ourselves. I think just being brothers, it's very difficult because you want to see the other one succeed, and sometimes it's at your own cost. And I think now that each one of us kind of went a separate way and we're doing our own programming, it's like, okay, like each one of us can just, each one of us have a team around us, and we can each focus on what we need to do in order to be as successful as we can in the sport. And really the vision is all of us being at the games on the floor, and it's holding that vision, not us. At the end of the day, we're still going to help each other get there, but like the memory will be us like kind of walking off the floor together at the games.
Did the dream ever dim? Has it ever crept in? Like, okay, I'm just going to be a coach.
No.
No, it's never. It doesn't dim.
No.
Yeah, that's amazing. Have you ever heard it dim for any of your brothers?
No.
No.
No. I think Scott set the bar high, and for me, I'm like, dude, keep going, because for me, it's like, okay, I still have another 9 years that I can keep competing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm like, I mean, again, as brothers, it's just somebody's always setting the bar higher, and it's like, okay, how can I outdo you?
You go to the games this year, and you have to deal with Adrian Bosman. Has that changed your training? And what have you seen change just basically in people's training in the landscape, in the elite division landscape?
I mean, I think a lot of the gymnastics, obviously, I think you're starting to see a lot more complex gymnastics movements. But I think it's it's just paying attention to the roots of CrossFit, and a lot of new movements that you'll see pop up at the games or on main site or in the CrossFit Journal at some point. And I think especially with athletes that are that have coaches, I think it's really easy to kind of steer away from the basics and paying attention to that kind of stuff. And I think as an athlete, you need to do your work outside of competing and training. And again, training is going online and watching videos and what's new, how to do this, and having a coach. It's important, but I think there's a lot of stuff that really falls on the athletes as well. And it's like watching film.
Are there any skills you practice that you know will never be in the games, like slackline or something like that?
I mean, I'll play with some stuff, but who knows? Who knows if it'll ever be at the games or not?
I think, the slacklines is a good example. You're developing skills that might not be tested specifically, but could have a translation to a little bit more accuracy or balance, coordination with any number of things.
Yeah, it's like when they.
Thank you, Brian. I thought Spencer was blowing me off with that. Thank you, Brian.
No, I think mean, you look at like when they were going across like the wet logs at the obstacle course. But I think if you can develop that balance going through different things, I think those skills all add up over time. It's like rock climbing. You'll probably never see rock climbing at the games, but how does it help you with other stuff?
What about these things that have popped up? Not so much the pegboard. I know you're good at the pegboard, but like this crossover or this L-sit on the parallettes to handstand. Are these things that like everyone knows? Like if a games athlete shows up next year and they can't do those, is it like, man, that's all on you? Yeah,
it's definitely on the athlete. I mean, I think I look at like the crossover ones. I think it was just the basics. And I snagged on a single under, and it's just like that. There's no worse shot to your ego than snagging on a single under. It's worse than snagging on a double under.
That 90% of your affiliate would have hit those 75 single unders.
My dad said it. My dad's 65 years old and was like, I would give me those. But again, I think like going back, I look at that and I'm like, that was an experience thing for me. It's like, what the heck am I practicing crossovers in the back for? If I make it to the crossovers, I'm top 5 in the event. I'll figure it out on the floor, and only 2 people got off them. And again, it's just banking on your fitness to carry you the rest of the way. But some of these skills you're not going to learn instantly, and it's gonna take time. Like I look at Wadapalooza, they're doing those handstand holds on parallettes, and I kicked up instantly, and I'm like, what the heck? These are hard. But it's just having a few minutes and playing on it. And once
what do you think about the fact that Wadapalooza announced that 10 days early compared to the games announcing 5 new movements in the skill speed medley 24 hours beforehand?
Yeah, I think Wadapalooza doing it. I think that's smart for them for sure, because you don't want, the last thing you want to do is have everybody get out there and tie.
Right.
But I think there's a fine line with a lot of it. Like I think with the double under crossovers, it's like, okay, am I going to use, in order to move fast on double unders, you're starting to see people, their jump ropes are coming up to their hips. So they're on a super short rope, and good luck trying to cross over with that. So I think I think there's a fine line with it, with making sure you have the right equipment with you. So yes, it's playing with them, but not overdoing it.
Do you think that in particular you as an athlete have an advantage getting information closer to the time that it needs to be done if it's something new, or would you prefer the week plus notice?
I like it. I like everything on the fly personally, because everybody's on the same playing field. When you're doing it like a week before, it's everybody's going through their deloads or their tapers. And it's like, okay, am I going to test this workout, or am I going to just trust my fitness when I get out there? So it kind of takes that out of the question. And how's it going to feel in
the middle of a competition after a heavy lift? And do I want to simulate that now or just wait and see?
Yeah. It's like, and then you're like, okay, that hurt. Like, I don't want, like, I know I'm going to get out on the floor and it's going to hurt again. It's like, I'd rather just hurt one time.
Spencer, do you journal? Do you write stuff down? Like how it sounds like from the interviews I listened to you yesterday that you do see a life after competing that involves still being involved in the sport.
Yeah.
Are you journaling?
Yeah, I do actually after each event, and it gives me a chance to just kind of sit down and put my thoughts on paper.
Literally at the games after each event, you'll journal a little bit.
Oh, no. Like once the event's done.
Oh, okay.
After the competition.
After the competition. And what about training? What about like things like, like, you've done enough burpees and you spot something, you're like, oh, I can actually swing my hands down and throw my body down faster. Or as you come up with these things that just seem they're nuanced, but you realize I've been doing burpees for 3 years before I thought of that. Do you write that stuff down? Are you preparing?
Yeah.
I got the when someone brought up coaching in the future, I felt like I heard a little pep in your step. Like you were part of you is excited for your career to come to an end, in another 10 years, because you do want to share everything that you're learning.
Yeah. I think there's such an important aspect to writing everything down. And like I remember I still open up books from when I first started CrossFit. I'm like looking at times and notes, and I'm like, oh my goodness! Like I remember doing toes to bar where I'm grabbing the bar here, and my feet are coming on the outside of them, and Scott's like, what the heck are you doing? And I'm like, 13 years old.
Hey, that's like the guy in college who puts his mouth over the whole bong. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
But you watch him do it 2 or 3 times before you tell him so everyone can laugh.
But I have 2 different journals, and one's kind of like a competition log, and one's like more of a training log, and different things that I've learned and different pieces of equipment that I've been on, like getting on the like the P bars that are wooden versus the P bars that are metal. One has more give, and like as you kick up, like you need to be ready for like that kind of shock where you get on the metal ones and you're not going to feel like that bend in that bar. But again, I think there's
training a short barbell compared to a long barbell.
like everybody at Wadapalooza last year on the short bar, nobody could get their elbows through. It's like, what the heck?
We talk about the medley workout quite a bit, but the Rogue, I mean, that's what Rogue is just notorious for. I mean, they had that bar muscle up log thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was crazy. How cool was that?
I thought that was awesome. That was such a cool, and it was funny because I actually told Scott weeks before, I'm like, everybody, because he's always on, everybody's throwing their grips over the bar, but he can't do it. So that's why he's like, I'm gonna tell them they can't do that anymore. Like it's gonna go away at some point. And I'm like, you just can't do it. So you're gonna take everybody else out with you.
What do you mean, like the hand grips? People
like
put them.
People will like throw them over the bar rather. Like you see it like Travis Mayer, Scott, like a lot of like the OGs will put their fingers in them. But like he's like, everybody's getting an advantage for throwing their grips over the bar, which I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I think it's just different. It's just again, you're still protecting your hands, and it just gives you more of a false grip on it. But I told him, I was like, I think if they put a thicker bar, it's going to eliminate that. And all of a sudden at Rogue, you're seeing like people like turn their grips around and not use their grips anymore. But again, if Scott has taught me anything, it's just standards are always changing. So don't get comfortable with one thing.
Have you tried since you've seen that workout at Rogue doing bar muscle ups on anything thicker than a bar?
I've tried them on a yoke before, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a similar diameter, but again, that's just like outdoor fitness and just getting out and doing like obstacle courses, getting over walls, stuff like that. That was more athleticism, I guess.
Right. And I guess there's a mental component too, because I'm guessing a lot of people maybe freaked out when they saw that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know they had them in the back of the warm-up area. So I think people had a chance to at least play on them a little bit. But I just think, it's paying attention. The standards always changing, and you need to just continue varying your training.
You're engaged now. Speaking of mental pieces.
I am.
And that just happened, right? 4 months ago?
Yeah.
And does that add to the complexity, or is that relief?
It's relief.
It is.
Yeah.
How long before you asked were you contemplating it?
Well, I had two. Him. Oh, I thought you meant me for asking the question. Yes.
Sevan was pondering on his assault like
I was
4 hours
contemplating for 30
yesterday.
seconds. How long were you contemplating? Sorry, I forgot we're interviewing you, Spencer. Go ahead.
I wanted to do it before the games, but again, I think that was. I think it was just kind of waiting until like that weekend was over, but I'd say a few months for sure.
What color lipstick are you wearing in this photo?
Listen, I don't know who edited that picture.
That's really cool. You guys put on the same lipstick. That's really sweet.
Hey, there was a big kiss right before that.
Yeah.
It's a relief because it's something off your mind. It's something you wanted to do, and then you got to it's done, and you got to take it off your mind.
No, I've wanted to do it, but to just I mean, she's been with me this past year, and the support that she's given me. She came down to Cookville to train with me for months, and we only had one car, and she just worked out in the driveway I just threw a barbell in, just the sacrifices that she's made for me. And again, it really meant a lot to me, and to just be along with me on this journey, it means a ton.
Honey, I appreciate how much you've sacrificed for me. Now I'm going to suck you into it for a whole lifetime. Any sports you're playing in the off season? Anything like not anything formal, but are you doing frisbee golf? Are you any flag football leagues? Are you doing anything?
No, I don't. I mean, I'll go out and golf with some buddies and stuff, but no, I'm usually just working through different things through CrossFit.
Listen, when you guys are ready for disc golf, give me a call. I'll come out to Ohio. I'll teach you guys how to play.
I love it.
Well, thank you, Spencer, so much.
I appreciate it.
Always great to see you. I'm starting to figure out who's who. And it's really cool. And I have to tell you, my favorite part of watching you is obviously your relationship with your brothers. It's so cool to see the kind of glean, the rekindling of you and Scott. Not that there was ever anything wrong, but just the ebb and flow. And it's really cool. It's really cool. And congratulations for finding Nick Fowler. I've heard nothing but the greatest stuff about him. And you really are coming off like you're in a great place. So congratulations.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, anytime, brother. All right.
Spencer, I'm going to send you a DM just in case you're interested.
Yeah,
I can
please.
can I give Brian your phone number?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yep. Perfect.
He'll have it forever then.
That's all right.
All right. I'll give Brian your phone number.
Cool.
All right,
Awesome.
brother.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yeah. Mr. Beaver.
Hello.
You look like you got some sun, Caleb.
Maybe.
Not up there.
Not on the mountain.
Yes, Brian's always pushing hard for disc golf. Yes, he has found his.
I didn't bring it up.
He has
You brought
found
it up.
his love. Panchik are the future 3 playing brothers. You mean 3 playing brothers are the future Panchiks? I don't know, man. Those guys have set the bar so high. Hey, so we had all these brothers, right? We had who were the first brothers? There were
You're probably thinking of the Anderson brothers.
yes, thank you, Brian.
But you should be thinking of the Fitzgerald brothers.
But only 2 of them.
Still.
Okay, fine. Yes, two great brothers also. But we don't. That's pretty interesting that we had 3. We had the Anderson brothers, then we had the Smith brothers, and then now we have the Panchik brothers, and that's kind of over, right? There's no more brothers or sisters like in terms of a 3-pack. I mean, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, I think it's rare, and I think it will be unlikely to see too often going forward.
And we have Sydney and Brooke, but that's just
right.
2
But
of them.
even in those cases, like Dane Smith hasn't made the game, Sydney Wells hasn't made the games. This is and in the case of what he's talking about, all 3 brothers making the games at the same year, we still haven't had that.
Yeah, that's wild. So did the Andersons never did that?
I don't think it was the same year. I think that ZA made it in a year, and then Alex made it a few years, and Alex and Jacob made it in the same year in 2016, I believe.
And they even had their dad make it to the games.
Yeah, and there are some athletes that have done that, but again, not as big of a family thing.
No, I'm telling you, I don't think my boys would end up doing CrossFit.
They're
Don't
coming
think
for
so.
something. We just don't know what yet.
Yeah, exactly. They're coming.
Right now,
they're coming
net
for
is
your
spread
daughters.
wide.
They're coming for your daughters. If you want young boys who are wild, who won't have a cell phone until they're 18, mine are your guys. Coffee pods and wads. The rare 3-generation trifecta of Will, Sevan, and Bill Grunler. Wow. I need to have Bill Grunler back on. Today at 5 p.m., I should probably send her a text now. I know you guys are going to find this very hard to believe. But today at 5 p.m., we have Danielle Brandon coming on the show. Brian, will you be making that show? It's 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Coaching until 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So maybe I'll jump in half hour into it.
All right.
If you'll have me then.
I would love to have you then. Do you
think she'd like to have me then too?
Oh,
actually, it's a half hour late. That might be right on time.
Hey, do you like this? I'm so stimulated by the thumbnails. So I looked up the word emotional, and then I crossed out the bad synonyms for it, and then just stuck Danielle Brandon over it.
You're having fun.
Yeah, I'm having so much fun. I did see what happened on Monday Night Football. I did see. I actually turned it on and watched the commentators as they went back and forth from the desk to the field. I hope that dude's okay. I really, Damar Hamlin. What a crazy situation. It'll be interesting to see what they come back with and what they find out. I thought it was interesting that, yeah, I think that some people on the desk had opinions on what might have happened. I mean, obviously, everyone's seen the videos of all these athletes falling on the fields, and there's, I don't know if there's two camps, but we're in an era of where it's difficult to get information, to get the facts, and so, well, here's the thing: we can all get information, but we all have to think. We all have to be able to think, right? And so we just got to think and think things out and try not. But both sides are getting more and more biased. I'm guilty of that. So I'm curious what's going to happen. I'm very curious. What did you think about that, Brian? About them stopping the game, just from the sports perspective? Did you see what happened last night? A guy dropped on the field.
I know what happened. Yes, I was asleep, but I watched some stuff this morning and read some articles this morning about it, and I don't know. I mean, it's unusual. Do
you stop the game if someone died at the CrossFit Games? You think they'd stop the?
Diet is different. I mean,
sorry, someone passed out at the games.
No, it happens a lot in the NFL. I think Lisa Saunders, the female reporter over there, was talking about, we were all just waiting for the thumbs up. Like, it happens a lot in football that someone has something happen to them and they're taken off the field, but they give the thumbs up and the game goes on.
The injuries happen.
Yeah, and to the point where they have to be put on a stretcher and they're immobilized, whether that's necessary or not. It's a precaution that's taken, and they wheel them off the field, and usually they just do a little thumbs up, and then the stadium cheers and the game goes on. And after, a minute of game time, people are just back into the game. I think it's rare to have the game postponed, or to not go through that process I just explained and have action continue. In this case, it's a big decision too, because it's the end of the season. Those two teams have positions in the playoffs to fight for, including a really rare opportunity at a bye in the first round. This was the final week of fantasy football, which shouldn't really be a focus, but there's a lot of people that play that, a lot of money on the line, some big name players in that game that are now not playing. And so there's many repercussions financially in terms of the season, the ticket holders, everything else that have to be weighed into it and taken into account there. So by no means is it an easy decision. And I do think it's rare that it's a rare decision to make historically.
But there was something unique about that injury. We don't know what it is exactly, but somehow it was so profound. Mm-hmm. The way he collapsed, the way he stood up, the way he collapsed, the way they had to do the CPR on him on the field, that it was something set it apart from other injuries. And then, of course,
Right.
the polarizing nature of it, because some people just want to jump to the conclusion that it was because he was vaccinated, because 95% of the players are vaccinated. So there's that element too, right?
Sure. But
I mean, there was something about
no,
it.
but the point of all of the stuff I was saying is exactly what you said. Is that
Yeah.
this is not the norm. This is an
Yeah.
exception.
Yeah. The decision was made because he went into cardiac arrest on the field, CPR and AED on the field.
So that might be what the exception is. In all of those other cases, they may not have had to use those things, and there's a possibility. I don't know. Maybe this contributor knows that there's something in place that the NFL has in terms of protocols, where if that happens, that elevates it to a different, like a red alert type scenario, where the actions following that are different than what we're used to seeing. I'm not sure.
I think that the most severe thing that I've seen happen at the games is what happened to Emily Rolfe. I mean, we've seen stuff like what Brandon Waddell is saying at the CrossFit Games. Do you think if when Kara fell out after Murph, she needed CPR to keep her alive, they would continue? The athletes were shook emotionally. I think stopping was the right thing to do. You mean for the NFL? Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, yeah. If that's what you're saying, I think stopping was the right thing to do for the NFL. I mean, in the case of the CrossFit Games, there's an event and then it ends, and then there's a period of time before another event begins where you have more time to make those decisions. In the NFL, like you're pressed to make the decision in a timely manner. Are we going to continue playing this game or not? And we have about 5 minutes to make that call,
with 100,000 people in the stands and a million people watching at home.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. No, I'm not suggesting Emily Rolfe was self-inflicted. Sevan, she chose to continue. No, what I'm saying though is that I think her situation was like, we saw Kara pass out, but she got her temperature cooled down, got some food and water in her, and she's back in the game. I think we've seen that. I don't know. I'm gonna say 50 times at the CrossFit Games on some degree. But
back in the game, but not at 100%.
Right, but with Emily Rolfe, I think that if she wouldn't have gotten medical attention, her shit could have gotten really bad really quickly.
She probably shouldn't have even finished the workout.
Right. Stuff like this has happened in other sports prior to the vaccine. This happened in other sports, particularly Chris Pronger in the NFL playoffs back in 1998. I'd have to see the video. I'd have to see the video, but let me tell you, that's also 24 years ago.
It's look, whatever happened, it's a rare incident,
Oh, NHL. Okay, here we go. Wow, look at Caleb. There you go, Patrick Clark. Yeah, that looks very. I wonder what happens just prior to him taking that knee. Ooh, he is not good.
He got hit with a puck in the chest.
Oh, he did. Oh,
the slap shot hit him right in the chest.
And that was that. And what was that effect again? You mentioned it at the beginning of the
Comotio Cordis.
Comotio Cordis. And did that guy need CPR out on the ice?
I don't know what happened to following that, but
or AED.
So when I saw that this was, this morning when I woke up and saw all of this, and I was hopeful that I'd be able to still see the video of it, which I was expecting something a lot more dramatic than what the play was. I mean, it would look,
right,
from my perspective, like a very routine play with a very not routine repercussion.
But in sort of along the line of what Patrick is saying, it's probably pretty routine for a guy to get hit with a puck also. But that one was just placed perfectly, right? Can we watch that hit one more time? Caleb, when you watch that hit, does that guy get hit in the chest?
The hockey one?
No, sorry, the football one.
Oh, hold on, let me pull it up. I think he.
Patrick Clark, I've seen this injury in college and soccer and baseball. Yeah, a bunch of people were DMing me, and there's a bunch of people saying that it's not completely uncommon. How do people normally recover from this? Okay, here we go. Here's the play one more time with Damar Hamlin. Yeah, it looks like it. Can we watch it? Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's a glancing blow, right?
Shoulder right in the
it's square to the chest.
Yep. And he you can right there, you can see it too, right? I mean, I don't know what that word is when you do that, but he goes straight to Hollow Rock.
Yeah, he just lowers his shoulder right into his chest.
There was a great Eric Weiss. Every NFL hit has got to be like a car crash. This one just hit the right spot. I remember interviewing John Wellborn. I think maybe who went to the Pro Bowl, I don't know, 11 times or something. He was a lineman, and he said basically there would be 10 or 11 hits, I think, a night where he would get hit so hard that he wanted to throw up, which is nuts. I can't even imagine that. Brandon Waddell, from a tackling standpoint, DeMar tried to catch him instead of driving through, which increases the impact. Yeah. His charity GoFundMe is like at 3.7 million, and his goal was 2,500. Pull that up. I want to see that. Fact check that shit. Let's start a GoFundMe for Brian. But Brian, go outside and jump in front of a car. We'll split the money.
I actually got to get going, but will you send me Spencer's number, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, thanks for being on. And yeah, you're more than welcome to come on today with Daniel Brandon. I would love to see you.
Yeah, just send me the link, and when I get back from the gym, I probably will.
All right, brother.
See you guys.
Peace. Spencer, Caleb is going to pull up this GoFundMe. You guys can donate to it. Do the right thing. What am I looking
It looks
for?
like it might just be for his toy drive for kids.
Oh, okay. Not for him.
That's a little better.
He could peel off a mill off there. No one's going to be upset.
You're probably right.
Oh, that'll help the. Hey, and the thing is this, I have to guess that I would hope the Buffalo Bills, they got to foot that bill, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure all of their healthcare is through the team itself. So whenever, like you work for a collegiate team like Division I or in a professional team, they staff their own medical people. So like you have your own surgeon, you have your own like athletic trainers on the field, you have everything. So,
I would like to follow up with, though, the conversation is very fair to have regarding what it could be. I don't think it's crazy to speculate on more than one possibility by any means. UOC and Bills probably covered him for the $60K bill. Okay, here we go. He originally reached the goal back in 2020 and continued the charity the last 2 years due to its popularity. God, Patrick Clark knows a lot of shit. Okay, guys. I have been cleaning my office and preparing for a special guest tomorrow, also at 4 p.m. My guest will be sitting over there on the couch. I'm going to have to rearrange some cameras. Should be interesting. Anyway, we have Daniel Brandon on later today. I think we have Rich Froning coming on this week also. Let me check the calendar here. Tomorrow we have Zeke Armham coming on, police officer. And then on the 5th, we're going back to the affiliate series with Trish, not our Trish, a different Trish. And then on the 6th, we have Sam Dancer in the morning, and then a couple hours later, we have Rich Froning. So it's a fun week. And then we also have our special mystery guest tomorrow. Oh, at 4 p.m. I got to tell Sousa to put that on the calendar.
when do we get to let them know?
I don't believe it's going to happen until I see that person show up at my house.
Fair enough.
Okay. If Danielle Brandon doesn't come, I'm hacking in and pretending to be her. Okay, fair enough. That would be cool. Can you put mystery guest on the calendar? But I didn't say mystery guest. In the text, I wrote the person's name.
Oh.
No, Rosemary's here. Rosemary's here every day. She's probably in the house teaching the kids piano right now. I am not cleaning because Rosemary's visiting. Oh, David.
Stop it.
When is that? That's tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. The thing is I have to reorganize all my shit because this guest is coming over, and this guest insists on doing it in person. And I don't want to move all my shit around and then they not show up. Corey Leonard, 1968 called. They want their couch back. Asshole. No. I'm not telling you what letter it starts with. If Greg Glassman doesn't show up, put a dumbbell on the couch and interview it. All right, guys. I will see you in a few hours. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you. And bye-bye.